Welcome to the program. The National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, NAIMOS, has arrested 5 armed men who have been parading themselves as national security operatives and extorting monies from illegal mining sites at Shiawa in the western region. The team also seized 3 pump-action guns and 3 excavators in a Valentine's Day raid on 2 illegal mining camps at Agyapong in the Bekwai municipality of the Ashanti region. Erastus Asaridonko is joining us from the particular region with more. Erastus, what more can you tell us?
So just as you said, currently the 5 have been handed over to the Ghana Police Service for further action. We do know they have been identified as Joshua Baite Andrews, 55, right. George Agyapong, 48, Dominic Gansa, 45, Issa Bantio, 38, and Al-Hassan Ibrahim, who is 38 years old. They were found with 1 pistol, with 2 magazines, some pepper spray, cutlasses, some tasers, and an amount of 150,000 Ghana cedis. And from the information we've gathered so far, we know that they were traveling and doing these illegal operations with Toyota Land Cruiser with registration number AK819-21. So that is what we know for now. NAIMOS says it treats some of these things very seriously because no entity or group of people can organize themselves into anti-illegal mining task force without their notice and go around extorting monies from illegal miners.
And Erastus, how long have they been posing as national security operatives?
From what we gather from NAIMOS, they've been doing this for months. And upon intelligence from some of the illegal miners themselves, they got to know of the operations. And before Valentine's Day, they knew that they would be going to Hiawa in their Menfi Central District. And so they tracked them and were able to arrest them on one of their rounds in some of the illegal mining sites.
So have they all been arrested, or there are some who are on the run?
No, they are a gang of 5, and they have been arrested. And currently, they've been transported, per my information, to Accra in the custody of the Ghana Police Service for further investigations.
And are you getting information that in other mining areas, individuals posing as national security operatives, like the ones who have been arrested, are around there?
This is very common. If you realize, this is not the first time that NAIMOS has arrested such a group. Sometimes, and even per what our investigations have proven so far, some people within some of the assemblies organize themselves into task force and go around extorting monies from illegal miners. Some of them are organized by NADMO officials at certain districts as a way of curbing illegal mining. But when you go into the operations, you realize that some of them engage in illegalities, extorting monies from some of these illegal miners and allowing them to mine in areas that are forbidden for mining in the district level.
Erastus, I know you don't work with NAIMOS, but you work closely with them. Do you know the whereabouts of these people? Where are they being kept at the moment?
For now, I know they are in police custody. They've been transported to Accra, but specifically where, I don't have that kind of information.
Right, Erastus Asaridonko, thank you very much for keeping us updated. Well, let's now bring in Awula Sewa with Eco-Conscious Ghana, and also Ken Ashigbe with the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. I want to start with you. Welcome to the program. Would you say NAIMOS is making progress with this arrest?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I think NAIMOS is doing a very good job with the resources at its disposal. The challenge is that how far are we in the so-called fight against illegal mining? How far are we? I remember in opposition, Sam George was saying that the president was commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and according to him, if the political will was there, illegal mining could be stopped, correct me if I'm wrong, and I believe he said 4 months. Now we find out that there are protection rackets going on. We find out that there are district assemblies where they actually take money from the environmental terrorists and then allows them to keep on poisoning Ghanaians. It's astonishing, and I wonder whether they actually realize that we face an existential threat, that we're on the verge of we face an existential threat, we're on the verge of a catastrophe. Otherwise, why would you collect money from persons who are poisoning the environment or decimating our forest reserves, and then you allow them to continue with the illegal activity? It baffles me.
Right. I don't know if you were listening to the conversation with Erastus, but I asked him if he knew where these people are being kept. I asked that question because most of the time we hear of people engaged in illegal mining being arrested, but their whereabouts, we don't know where they're being kept. We don't know what becomes of them afterwards. Are you expecting this to serve as a deterrent? Do you expect these persons to serve time in jail if they're found guilty?
Well, you see, there needs to be follow-up because, as you rightly said, a lot of the time we hear so many of the equipment have been burned, X and X have been arrested, but there's no follow-up for us to know that, okay, as a consequence of the arrest, these 5 were prosecuted and they've been found guilty and sentenced to 10 years in jail, which will serve as a deterrent. Normally, the follow-up isn't there. So that is one thing that is lacking. But let me use this opportunity to say that, Ghanaians are worried, or at least, that, for example, I keep on mentioning the Atronsu 5, who are environmental activists, who are being prosecuted, and their crime was that they were trying to protect their environment and the only source of drinking water, the Atronsu stream. We know that the case is coming on the 23rd of this month, I believe. They are being prosecuted. And then the illegal miners who were polluting the Atronsu stream, it's not even a question of they've been arrested and we don't know where they are being kept. They are walking free. They have not even been arrested. That's why I question the kind of fight that is going on against illegal mining.
And you remember our documentary that we did, A Tax for Galamsey, where the Amansia Central MC was captured in that particular video. As we speak right now, he's still at large. Nothing has happened to him. Surprised?
I'm not surprised, but I'll say I'm very disappointed. You see, these are the kind of things that make people question what exactly is going on. Joy journalists put their lives on the line. They undertook this expose. One would have thought that as soon as it was aired, he would be suspended. What is it that we are investigating? We need to investigate the extent. Is it going on in other assemblies as well? But he didn't deny it. He had I can't even find the words to say that the money go into an account, blah, blah, blah. But you see, this is illegal activity. So are we going to start taxing armed robbers and tell us that the money collected from the armed robbers are building hospitals? You see, if we really are interested in a fight against illegal mining, what should have happened was that with the speed with which the High Commissioner in Nigeria was recalled, the DCE should have been suspended at the very least, and he should be facing prosecution as we speak. But if he's still at post, you see, it makes Ghanaians wonder whether it's musical chairs, whether we are really interested in a fight against illegal mining, which is causing ecocide. Our scientists have told us that our food is poisoned. CAS has told us that the number of kidney disease complaints has gone up 4 times, and yet we don't seem to be particularly bothered. And this shows with the DCE still at post after the brilliant expose by Joy.
Right. And these people that have been arrested, Erastus tells us that they were operating with a Toyota Land Cruiser, which is a very sophisticated and expensive vehicle. Do you get the sense that they have the backing of people in high authority?
Well, what I would say is that they're obviously well-heeled. We need to find out the owner of the Land Cruiser. That's one thing I'm sure the police are working at, finding the owner of the Land Cruiser. And let me say this here. I mean, in the past administration, we saw it with Professor Frimpong Boateng's report. Persons closely connected with the administration were involved. I'm told that the same thing is happening under the current administration. And it would seem that we voted for musical chairs. Some blatantly say Ishewono. So what needs to happen is that we need to find out the owners of the Land Cruiser, and we need to make sure that everybody involved is dealt with. And then we have to have the polluter pays policy. Anybody involved or complicit in illegal mining, your assets, maybe this Land Cruiser should be sold and used towards the cost of reclamation, which is very, very expensive. And let me say here, this year, reclamation is not just a question of covering the holes and planting some bamboo trees, and we say we've reclaimed. Reclaim is a very expensive business. First of all, you need to find out whether the ground is poisoned, how you get rid of the toxins, how you restore the landscape to the situation in which it was before. The kind of soil you use to cover it up. The scientists will tell you it's a very slow, expensive process. And yet we are just standing idly by. In fact, we are complicit in the ongoing ecocide. So yes, to answer your question directly, we need to follow the money, the Land Cruiser. Let's find out who owns it and what he knows about the Land Cruiser being used in an extortion racket.
Well, do you then get the sense that this government is fighting Galamsey with kid's glove?
Well, what I would say is that to quote Sam George, he was saying that it should take 4 months. That's what he said in opposition. Maybe now that he's part of the administration, you would see that it may not be as easy as that. But I would say that there are too many red flags. For example, in Amanse, he should have been suspended straight away. That hasn't happened.
Right.
There have been instances where names of persons close to administration, whether MPs, DCs, have been given as being involved, and nothing seems to be happening to them. So it does seem that we are being overcautious. And I have to say that NAIMOS is doing its best with the resources available, but they don't even have a phone number that the public has access to that you can call when there are signs of illegal mining going on somewhere. They need to be better resourced. And then the Forestry Commission, they need to be given paramilitary status, and they should protect our forests as they've been mandated to do. The situation, as I understand it, they're not well equipped. They don't have bulletproof vests. And in fact, I think a few weeks ago, one forestry guard was shot and killed. So we need to protect those who are supposed to be taking care of our forest reserve. And yes, NAIMOS is doing its best, but it needs to be better equipped. And so does the Forestry Commission. Those protecting our forest reserves need to be well protected, and that's why they need to be given paramilitary status, so that at the very least they can have bulletproof vests.
Speaking of NAIMOS, do you get the sense that the fight against illegal mining has now been pushed onto them? There's so much burden on them now?
Well, we do as a fact that they cannot do it all. That is why civil society organizations ask for a targeted state of emergency. You cannot tell me that the illegal miners are stronger than the full force of the state. For example, your water bodies that are diverted, why can't the Navy be patrolling the water bodies? They are well equipped, they are trained, and I'm sure they can do more than the Blue Water Guard. You see, the matter is a matter of life and death. We face an existential threat. So we said that this problem is beyond NAIMOS. You see, it's like you have 1,000 fires raging at the same time, and you have one fire engine, and you don't even want to deploy it. So declare a targeted state of emergency, and let's fight this matter before it is too late, before we reach the point of no return, before some areas become no-go areas, as in some parts of Latin America. The window of opportunity to act is closing. We cannot rely on NAIMOS to do everything. What we need to do, let the Forestry Commission be well-resourced to take care of our forest areas. Let there be a state of emergency. Get the Navy, for example, involved so they can patrol our water bodies, and then get the armed forces, the army, to come together and deal with the environmental terrorists. Because if we are single-minded about this, we will end this terrorism that is going on.
Right. Awolasewa is the coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizens. Thank you very much. Let's talk education now, because the National Council of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, has announced the immediate suspension of the strike declared on November 24th, 2025, following government's release of funds to address several outstanding entitlements. CTAG declared an indefinite nationwide strike on Monday, the 24th of November 2025, accusing government of failing to comply with the National Labour Commission arbitral award issued more than 2 years ago. The decision was approved by the association's National Executive Committee in consultation with its National Council at an emergency meeting on November 19th. In a statement issued on Saturday, February 14th, the Council confirmed that the decision to suspend the industrial strike was taken unanimously between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., signaling a significant step towards resolving the long-standing grievance within the sector. Let's bring you more from that statement. And this says the leadership of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, wishes to inform its members, stakeholders, and the general public that the association has suspended the strike action, which commenced on the 24th of November. The decision follows the release of funds by the government to facilitate the payment of the following outstanding obligations. 1. All year-round work compensation for additional duties performed in 2022. 2. 2023-24 book and research allowance arrears. 3. 2022 research top-up allowance for Agyapong College of Education. CTAG says it acknowledges this development as a significant step toward addressing the concerns that necessitated the industrial action. They commended the government for responding to these critical financial commitments. However, the association said it noted 2 additional issues remain unresolved and are currently before the National Labour Commission for adjudication. And they are outstanding book and research allowance arrears for 2022-23 academic year, which should be paid on a pro rata basis. 2, the downgrading of experienced teaching staff holding master's degrees in the colleges of education, which undermines professional dignity and contravenes agreed conditions of service and the Labour Act 2003, Act 651. While the strike has been suspended in good faith, CTAG says it respectfully urges the National Labour Commission to expedite action on these pending matters to ensure a comprehensive and lasting resolution. Leadership says it is assuring colleagues affected by the downgrading that their issue remains a top priority and will be pursued to its logical conclusion. In light of the above, CTAG says it is appealing to all members across the colleges of education to resume academic duties and return to lecture halls effective today, the 16th of February 2026. The leadership of CTAG says it expresses profound gratitude to all members for their unwavering solidarity, patience, and support throughout the strike period. Your commitment to the collective welfare and professional integrity of the association has been exemplary. It continued to say that it is extending their appreciation to students, parents, and stakeholders for their outstanding or understanding and support during this period of industrial action. CTAG says it remains committed to constructive engagement and dialogue in the best interests of teacher education in Ghana. Right, let's go on Zoom right now and have a conversation. Let's speak to Prinkoff, the boss of Prinkoff, Professor Samuel Atin Tonu. Also on Zoom is the president of CTAG, Maxwell Bonu, and also the president of Teacher Trainee Association of Ghana, Naninja Divine. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I want to begin with you, Maxwell. The last time we spoke with you, you made it clear that until your demands were met, you will not call off your strike. What has changed now? Hello, Maxwell.
Good afternoon to your listeners and your viewers. Before I respond to the question, I would like to seize this opportunity to thank the Minister for Education for the efforts that he had made in resolving some of our issues, that is 3 out of 5. And we also wish him a speedy recuperation as a result of the accident he got involved in recently.
Right.
So that he could come back to work. Now, coming back to the substantive issue, you recall that we presented 5 items, and of course we insisted that all 5 items should be resolved to enable us come back. That is to make sure that we do not have a situation where CTAG will embark on strike again as a result of this arbitrary award. But looking at the period that we are embark on strike, 3 of the issues have been identified, and funds have been released for payment for those 3 items. That include our all-year-round work compensation for additional duty performed in the year 2022, and then the top-up for research top-up for Agyapong College of Education, the staff there. Their money also has been released. Then our book and research allowance arrears for 2024, money has been released for that, and payments is currently ongoing to our colleagues. We don't have any situation where any principal has reported of that check. All the checks are going through, so the payment is ongoing. However, the remaining two issues that is arrears, book and research allowance arrears for 2023, and then the downgrading of our experienced colleagues who hold master's degrees in the College of Education. Those issues still remain.
Right.
And we have actually submitted these concerns to the NLC, that's National Labour Commission, and the Commission is currently going through our final submissions, and they promise to provide adjudication on the matter. So since these two issues are before the Commission, the Council thought it wise that since money also has been released, funds have been released to pay those three items, then it is prudent we come back to continue for academic work so that the students also do not suffer unnecessarily. So that whilst we work, we'll find a way to get the ruling for NLC, and then that will determine the way forward.
Right. Maxwell, I'll come back to you. Don't go yet. Let me bring in Professor Samuel Atinton, who's the head of the Conference of Principals of Colleges of Education. You were part of those deliberations that led to the suspension of the strike. Although some of the demands have not been met yet, with the ones that were met, were they met in full, halfway, or what was it like?
Thank you very much. And once again, my greetings to Maxwell Bono and his team, and then your listeners and viewers. Thank you so much, Joy News. I recall about 2 weeks ago, we were right in the studio there, live to speak on these same issues. And I remember I gave the assurance that I was very confident that before 9th February, which we postponed the opening to, we would have resolved the issues. And truly, I think we all have to appreciate government effort in releasing the funds, about a total of 43 million for all what they asked for. What had been concluded as legitimate claims for CTAC members are what Bono has listed all year round. The top up for the book and research allowance for 2023-2024, and of course, the balance for Akokere College of Education, 3 items. And they have been paid in full. It's not halfway. I listened to him. I think he raised the issues about the 2022 book and research allowance areas. That one, we need to get back to the minister to have a conversation around it. But luckily, they said they have already tabled before NLC. So I think we would all wait patiently for the outcome of what the NLC ruling will be. For sure, the PI's issue earlier on, GTEC, Fair Wages and Salary Committee, including Pinkop and Controller, had worked on it and agreed that they should at least give the staff involved, revert them back to the position that they were. So a letter had been written by Fair Wages and Salaries Commission to Minister of Finance. It is only unfortunate they have not responded on that one, but I'm sure it will be worked on. So for me, we are most grateful to them too. I'm happy today they are back in the lecture halls. As he said, some of these things we need to dialogue and not to necessarily go on strike and then punish the students. But we all have learn lessons from this. And I hope going forward, whatever grievances they have, they should let us engage and to assure them, Pinkop and government always ready, including GTEC, to listen to them and who can resolve the matter.
Right.
Thank you.
Professor Atinton, thank you very much. Let me bring back let me bring in Divine at this particular point in time. Divine, welcome to the program. How do you welcome the news of the suspension of the strike effective today? Do I have Divine?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, and good afternoon to your listeners as well. In fact, on the side of the students, we are very happy. And let me use this opportunity to say a very big thanks to the stakeholders that work together to get these issues resolved. Ministry of Education, GTEC, PRINCOF, and then especially CTAC as well. We are very grateful that finally, or at long last, the strike has been suspended and we are back to school to continue with the academic works.
Divine, usually when CTAC goes on strike, it lasts for months on end. Do you get the sense that this suspension is very fragile and another strike could be in the offing any moment?
Yes. As you read the letter of the CTAC, it is indicated that the strike is suspended. And when they say it's suspended, meaning that if maybe happens that the outstanding issues are not resolved, maybe we are likely to experience something of that sort again. But that has already been our call as an association that it will be very unfortunate to witness strike again, because for about 3 years now, that is what we have been experiencing. Every academic year, it has become like a norm. And it is our hope that now that this one has been called off, all other issues that are outstanding, the stakeholders will collectively resolve them, maybe backdoor, and then we as students will not experience anything like strike again.
Right. And Divine, have your colleagues started reporting to campus?
Oh, yes. We have less than 90% of the students back to campus. I have visited Dambai College of Education this morning, and lectures and all other academic works are ongoing. So we are very happy. So students are back to school, and we are hoping to see how the semester will go.
Maxwell Bonu is still with us. Maxwell, you've been listening to Divine there. He says that he's scared that this could be a very fragile suspension and another strike could be in the offing. But you are very confident that with the remaining conditions of service that are yet to be met, another strike is not imminent. Can you assure the students that?
Thank you, my brother. I think I need to put on record that CTAC members are not strike happy. We do not just take interest in embarking on strike. It is only when we are pushed to the wall, when we have exhausted all the avenues available for engagement and we could not find solution. That's why we resort to strike. And I think that should not be the way to go anyway. But, my brother, that's the nature of every government. When you go, you want to engage, you want to dialogue, things do not work. They have proven me wrong when I thought that through engagement we could resolve some of these issues, but it never worked. When we travel up and down to all the offices trying to resolve this issue, it never worked. But when we are back on strike, the next day we had a call. But like I said, we are not happy to always embark on strike.
Right.
The remaining issues are before NLC. We have been there to meet the executive secretary. She assured us that they were looking at the submissions that we have made, and then they'll give us a ruling. We are hoping that they speed up that process and then provide a ruling. And if it is in our favor, we will expect the state government, GTEC, Fairwages to speed up the process so that we have it resolved, so that we do not get back to where we were. But CTAC will not hesitate to actually embark on another strike if they begin to drag their feet again and not resolve the issues that concern our welfare.
And have you got any idea when you're going to meet with the authorities concerning these additional conditions of service which are yet to be resolved?
Certainly next week we'll be in Accra at NLC to find out the state of their work. And then also there are other even important issues that we have to meet GTEC to also resolve. There's a case in Dambai, so we'll be in Accra to follow up on some of these issues.
Maxwell Bonu, thank you very much. Divine Naninja as well, thank you. And earlier we heard from Professor Samuel Atintonu with PRINCOF. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time this afternoon. You're still watching The Pulse here on Joy News. We're live across our various social media handles. We'll be back from the break with more. Don't go anywhere. Hello again. A security consultant, Richard Kumado, is asking government and other stakeholders to strengthen the tomato production value chain in Ghana to forestall occurrences like what happened over the weekend in Burkina Faso that left some Guineans dead. We now know the Interior Ministry has opened high-level engagements with local authorities to establish full circumstances for the incident. We'll hear from Richard Kumado a bit, but first, here is Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak, who has raised concerns about the situation on our borders.
The jihadists ran into the town and started rounding up almost everybody, especially the males, and targeting to kill every male just outside. And unfortunately, our civilians with their team were also that town, and they had to separate the male from the females. And unfortunately, went on the shooting spree, killing almost all the males that were there, and then pinning them together with the truck. And in this instance, we had a very unfortunate situation that we had some Ghanaian men, because the truck driver with other 9 men, with 8 women, were on this particular truck. And sad to say, we lost 7 of the men, and 3 of them got injured. 1 woman also got badly injured, but the other 7 women were not really injured. And the sad thing is that the area is still called off. I have been talking to my colleague, the Minister for the Burkina Faso, the Secretary for Burkina Faso, since Saturday. When even the incident started, the information was very sketchy. We kept talking together with our mission in Ouagadougou and the foreign ministers. We kept talking and been updating each other. In the south end the 7 bodies are banned beyond recognition. And after yesterday, we had agreed that they have begun decomposing and have to be buried. We wanted our mission to even go and witness the burial, but the south end is that it's so difficult to create a safe passage for even our mission to go there because of the situation. Because obviously the Burkina authorities managed after several hours to reclaim that city. So what's happening there, or what they've told us, they will bury it today, this morning, 10 o'clock, but our women who were dead, who are not really injured, we are going that they should go and witness and take as many pictures as they can as possible. Once they promise us that after the burial, they will try with their military to create a safe passage to move those who are injured and uninjured Ghanaians to our mission in Ouagadougou.
You heard there the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mubarak. Let's explore this further. And joining me on the telephone lines is Emmanuel Bonbande. He's a conflict resolution and mediation specialist. Welcome to the program. What is your initial reaction to this issue where we're being told about 7 of Ghana's traders have been killed in Burkina Faso?
Good afternoon to you and to all your listeners. My initial reaction is very simple. I refuse to indulge in events as they occur without going back to where we can trace it from coming the description that you are offering the people of Ghana today. And what I mean by this very briefly is this. The threat of violent extremism and terrorism, regrettably, there has been a mindset that has continued to deepen, that it is confined, the Sahel region. But this thinking has been made worse with the alliance of Sahel states separating themselves from the rest of West Africa as ECOWAS to respond to the threat because they felt that they were better placed to do it without the rest of West Africa. And I'm not blaming them, because we were not also there in solidarity and support with them.
Right.
So what this has done has been a widening gap in policy as a response to the threat. And so in the mindset of all of us, because we see the threat only in the Sahel regions, they can contain it. But that has not removed whatsoever the inter-people-to-people trade, commuting, commerce and travel. And that is why the travel advisory that can protect our citizens cannot be there because we see it as normal for them to trade. And yet in that normalcy is the absurdity of a threat that they are even unaware of. And so this is going to continue to happen until we bridge that policy gap and appreciate that terrorism in West Africa can never be wiped off solely by the 3 countries in the Sahel, but it will require the collective effort of all the people of West Africa in the ECOWAS space. So if I were to summarize, what this incident has done is to reinforce the importance of a collective initiative rather than separate ways of engaging. And we don't have a choice but to talk to everybody, be able to be on board in how we respond to this threat. And secondly, it opens, in my view, another front for the Sahel states themselves to reflect on whether the policy choices they made is the right choices they made. Of course, Ghana cannot blame them for political decision about forming an alliance. I think we should all agree and support the alliance. But the alliance does not mean separating yourself from the collective regional policy decisions to deal with the threat of terrorism. Why is this important? Because their citizens and our citizens and anybody in the West African space, the 350 million of us, if you are in the wrong place at the wrong time, you will be a victim of terrorism. Doesn't matter your nationality from West Africa. We are all in this together, and the policy must be able to be reframed to then determine the course of action that is collective and in solidarity.
Right. Mr. Bombande, we've had some strained diplomatic relations with Burkina Faso in recent times, but since President Mahama took office, he's trying to cozy up to Burkina Faso and other, West African countries that are led by coup leaders. Do you think that this new happening could further strain the relationship between Ghana and Burkina Faso on the diplomatic level?
To be further straining our relationships with the government and the people of Burkina Faso. On the contrary, it provides our president the entry point of deepening the engagement with Burkina Faso to say that, look, when I want us to talk and to be collectively engaged in a way forward of mutual benefit and interest to all our people, I am saying it on the basis that even Ghanaians in Burkina Faso are not safe. And if this threat continues to widen, Burkina Faso citizens in other countries will not be safe. So technically speaking, we have no choice but to overcome any challenges and deepen the dialogue and strengthen our resolve to find the channels of cooperation that can deal effectively with the threat of terrorism. I say this with all sincerity that nobody else from outside our region can help us deal with this threat, if not us in the region. Maybe partnership and cooperation can play a role, but never to replace our collective effort. And if you ask me, we've been too slow in appreciating why this level of intensified cooperation is so important. And that is why I always argue, from my civil society days into my politics, into my work with the UN, that when it comes to security, the capacity to go beyond politics and find the entry points of collaboration, regardless of our political divergence, it's so important. And my study is that we've not to this level.
Right. And what role do you think Ghana's embassy in Burkina Faso have to play in this? Do they have any role to play at all in this?
No, it will be limited to consular services of the interest, the welfare, and to that extent, the protection of our citizens who have been caught up in this tragic event. And in so doing, try to see what is it that they could do to repatriate for those who have fallen dead back home and for those injured to be able to return. And beyond that now, the continuation of what I have been talking about, including the recent regional cooperation meeting that was led by our president here in Accra, and to now deepen, in my view, that search. So the diplomacy now has to extend beyond. Let me put it very briefly here. The diplomacy cannot remain at the interstate level.
Right.
It must carry along the people-to-people level. And the reason is the state does not determine how its people make choices about traveling across borders to trade. And yet, the security of the people is what the state is interested in. So how do we strengthen those people-to-people networks and carry everybody along in the awareness creation and education that then allows the state authority to lead, and the people also then are involved in how we combat terrorism? Because it is more than just a security, no, it is more than just a military response. It has to do with the non-kinetic, which is the people seeing themselves together in cooperating to respond to this tragedy that continues to afflict us as terrorism and violent extremism.
Do we need more security at our borders then, especially the one we share with Burkina Faso?
That has been consistent in my view and in my study and even recent travels to the north. I've seen, yes, an increased presence along our borders. Let me even say here in Accra, I noticed yesterday that at least where I went to church, I can see a more surveillance of security than it used to happen. But let me add, my good brother, that whereas these are to mitigate, the challenge is to assume that they are preventive in themselves in terms of capacity. So yes, my response to you is because of the nature of the borders, we need to continuously sustain a high level of security coordination. But beyond this, a search for a sustainable response to the threat of terrorism that is inclusive of all the member states of the West African countries beyond ECOWAS is an imperative that is now so urgent that if we are not, in my view, putting this on the very high level of priority, we could continue to be shocked and surprised at the consequences that we see, such as the attack that we are talking about.
Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak says he has got in touch with his counterparts in Burkina Faso to try and assess the situation. Do you think there's more the Interior Minister should do, or he should hold on at this point?
Well, no, at this point of the incident, that is tragic. What you want to do is to deal with this in terms of what you would describe as first responding to the tragedy and understanding exactly how it happened, and using the information that comes out of how this happened to inform the bigger issues that I'm having with you in this conversation, which is, for example, one, that there is no full proof that we can prevent acts of terrorism as we have been trying to do. And my justification for that is this. Whereas the Burkinabe authority have been able to sustain a high level of response at the levels that can be appreciated in terms of their military, their training, retooling, and equipment, it does not mean that 100% they have been able to stop the terrorist attacks. And so too in Mali, and so too in Niger. So what does this tell us? That the 100% prevention is something that goes beyond what I described earlier on as the military preparedness. And to now look at the policy level, which then requires the political decisions about how we fight terrorism beyond the military response of individual states. And if the stone is falling, everybody has to cover their head. So Ghana, we are trying to cover our head. Everybody is trying to cover their head. But I have advocated on this since 2011, 2012, when I was still in 1M, that if we are not politically committed to come together to the point that the West African standby force will be prepared to stand shoulder to shoulder with the countries that are worst afflicted and fight off the terrorists. Each country trying to prevent. The net to prevent can never be full, and will continue to have these incidences.
Right.
My reason, going back to my earlier arguments, has been very simple. There is a psychological dimension of this. It's not just our military capacity. Once these jihadist groups become fully aware that there's a total mobilization of 50 member states in a collective to fight them, they will begin to have a different body language than they have today. Because today they know that they are fighting in each country of a region that is divided in response to their attacks. But when they begin to see that our collective effort does not aggregate which country is being attacked or not, but that we have reached a level in which when you attack Burkina Faso, you have attacked Ghana, you have attacked Cote d'Ivoire, you have attacked Nigeria, you have attacked Benin, it sends a different message psychologically. But my good brother, this cannot happen when the political decision making and the type of political unity that is required for a harmonious policy orientation does not exist. Benin is not trusted by Mali or Niger or Burkina. Neither does Burkina trust Cote d'Ivoire. And so you are in the middle of a political space where the distrust in itself is exacerbating and not lessening the threat of terrorism.
Right.
That is what I meant when I said, though I was not explaining it fully, that at what point do you see political actors rising above the differences in political orientation, such as the one describing Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina, or Benin and Niger, so that the collective interest of serving the people in terms of their protection and security becomes primordial, rather than gaining what I would describe as the political interest, which in itself can be justifiable depending on where you stand. But at the end of the day, everybody loses, particularly the people that the politics and the leadership of the politics is supposed to protect.
Right.
Now, let me say this, and I know you've given me, you've been generous with the time. Let me say this. This type of conversation I have with you now, and keep in mind, I've sat in the summits because I was privileged to serve as Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of our dear country.
Yes.
This type of conversation does not happen in those political crises, in the summit and in the high-level meetings. And yet, we commit to declaration, but we know deep down that the mistrust as we go onto our planes to go back home, exists. And that is why I am now convinced that alongside political decision-making,
right,
we collectively carry along the people. Because their interest, for me, is supreme. And the politics must be able to support that interest.
Right.
Why? Because truly speaking, the people of Burkina Faso and Cote d'Ivoire, literally from the middle of Cote d'Ivoire right into Burkina Faso, are the same. So why is the politics for the interest of these two countries not helping to protect these people? And sometimes these conversations publicly, I am now not too keen, because then it is understood only in terms of its political terms. But I'm looking at it as a human security issue. And when you define it as a human security issue, you are looking at it as a people-oriented issue and not policy making at state level. But the policy making at the state level is not engaging enough to protect the human security of the people. And this is what I meant to begin by a huge and widening policy gap.
Right. Mr. Bombande, don't go yet. Let me bring in Professor Kwesi Enin at this point. He's a security consultant. Professor Enin, grateful for your time this afternoon. What do you make of the killing of 7 Guinean traders in neighboring Burkina Faso?
Well, it's unfortunate, but within the context of what we know is happening in Burkina Faso, not very surprising. But let me extend my condolences to the families who have lost their dear ones. But if we put on an instrumentalist hat, saying why this took place, then they just become collateral damage. And it raises fundamental concerns as to why a damned country like Ghana should be going to Burkina Faso to buy tomatoes. But there's no surprise at all, no.
Right. Professor Ni, we are in a very volatile region. When I say we, I mean Ghana. We're in a very, insecure region plagued by insecurity, insurgency. But we're lucky to be very peaceful. With the latest killing of our citizens, should we be worried that terrorists could finally infiltrate our borders and perpetrate such acts?
No. I've just traveled along all the northern borders doing an armories inspection. And I think we should ask ourselves as a nation, to what extent have we provided the tools and the logistics necessary for our men and women, even at the borders, to protect us? That's number one. Number two, we need to ask ourselves that we have a national security strategy document that divides the threats that we face into 4 tiers. Since 2020, that threat assessment and analysis have not been revised. What it then means when you conflate these two is that we need to understand the specific local dynamics, the kind of threats that we are looking at, the nature of the leadership styles of the people we have appointed to immigration, customs, and all that. And here, let me say it without any doubt that I was impressed by the level of professionalism and seriousness with which the officers along the borders adapted to the ever-changing security situation. Across the borders or along the borders, these officers have been able to build trust across the borders with their corresponding officers, sharing information about suspicious movements, theft of motorbikes, and any other incidents that may raise suspicion and misunderstanding among the different agencies across the borders. This is not captured in our national security strategy document. Right. So the notion that some people are going to come down, let me repeat it and say it very clearly, it's a false narrative, created probably by people who have not even visited the border before. The people along those borders, in their day-to-day experiences, seek to build trust with the communities across the borders, who are, let's not forget, also afraid, threatened, and are looking to build networks. But if we are that concerned, in 2023, I wrote a UNDP report. One of the recommendations was to train nurses and hospital or clinic orderlies along the borders to be able to identify particular types of injuries that we can relate to the conflict across the border.
Right.
Okay, so there is, I don't think, there's the potential of some attack. It's always there. But I don't think we should blow it out of proportions. The men and women along the borders are working well. Let's give them the tools to do it. and they will do an even better job.
How should the government of Ghana approach this issue?
Which issue?
The killing of the 7 Ghanaians in Burkina Faso. The Interior Minister says he's already got in touch with his counterpart in Burkina Faso. Do you think more needs to be done to bring closure to this?
No, the Burkinabes are in a very difficult situation. They informed us very quickly. And I think that is what trust building is about. Cooperative engagement to work together. It's unfortunate the Accra initiative is not functioning as it ought to, but there are measures going on to build closer relationships with the AESD. So, yes, what the minister has done is right, but I applaud the Burkinabe for quickly informing their brothers in the south that, look, this is an unfortunate thing that has happened. You know we have these difficulties. Unfortunately, it has affected your citizens and our deepest sympathy. So I think both governments are on track to deepening the trust relationships that they are seeking to build.
Right. We trade a lot with Burkina Faso, especially when it comes to vegetables. Do you think the Ghanaian traders who go to Burkina Faso to ply their trade should continue going after what happened? And if they should, under what security measures should they?
Well, because the Accra initiative is not working optimally, you know, sometimes you can make bilateral agreements in which your troops can, in what we call in professional parlance, hot pursuit, follow people that you are chasing 20, 30, 40 kilometers into your country. Right now, any trader who goes into any of these countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Northern Togo, Northern La Côte d'Ivoire, you do so at your own risk. But I'm hoping that the National Security Council, if our own assessment of the threats amongst our neighboring countries is correct, then I think that the National Security Council should meet in haste and to say, how do we ensure that we don't necessarily put our traders at risk? I just also, in going up north, traveled through Akumadan. And I don't think the tomato production there is as massive as it was a couple of years ago.
Right.
I traveled to Opalugu. Okay, so it is our collective failure as a state to develop our agriculture, to create the incentives that is letting our traders even go into war zones to go and buy tomatoes, to go and buy onions, to go and buy lettuce. I think we can do better.
Right.
But we cannot insist that the Burkinabes send special troops to guard our traders. That is not possible.
Professor, you don't go yet. Hold on for me. I'll come back to you. Let me bring in Mr. Emmanuel Bombande. I'm sure the traders are now in a dilemma whether they forfeit going to Burkina Faso and lose money, or they risk their life and go to Burkina Faso hoping that nothing will happen to them. If you could speak to a trader right now, what would you tell them?
Well, I would want, first of all, I did not express my condolences when I first spoke with you, and I want to do so profoundly at this point. I would tell the traders that they should join the voices of advocacy for the landscape of security in West Africa to be inclusive of all. Because my view is that it's a good thing to trade. If you look at the very first protocols, dealing with the free movement of goods and people, it was to facilitate our people in the region to be able to move about freely and to trade. But then we've recognized that that cannot happen in the environment of insecurity. So what must we do for the security to be prevailing for all, be able to trade? Now, that is not an immediate gain that can be achieved next week. But you see, it changes the orientation that even as you trade, what matters most for you to be able to do your trading is a security environment. So how do they, as a network of commerce and traders, contribute to this discourse and the self-awareness that therein emerges for them to also be aware that when you are traveling, you should be guided by a good analysis of yourself, of the threat that you are probably going to meet, and to make then decisions about your own safety and protection. And to that extent, therefore, we seem to simply be resigned to the idea that this is not my area of interest, let governments deal with it. But what terrorism is teaching us in West Africa is that, and as I refer to it, it's a human security phenomenon, and all the peoples must be involved.
Right. Yeah. Emmanuel, we know that President Mahama has a good relations with Burkina Faso's leader. At least he was at his swearing in Ghana last year. Do you think he can leverage on that to say that let's come to a mediation table, try to resolve these issues of terrorism in the West African enclave once and for all? Can President Mahama leverage on his relations with these military leaders in the region?
He can, but only to some extent. Because do not forget that there has to be an alignment of how institutions become functional based on the choices we make and the systems. To the extent that it's bilateral, it can leverage. But in the conversation that we are having, you see that this is more than just bilateral between two countries, Ghana and Burkina Faso.
Right.
In its expansiveness, it's about the region. And you know what? The hard questions are this. I have raised it and I have never run away from it. I agree with the choices of the leaders of the Alliance of Sahel States in confronting the threat of terrorism. But I have always put it on the table because I'm always guided by principles and values. The people eventually have to elect their leaders. Because that is how sub-regional institutional frameworks function for diplomacy to be leveraged to the highest level. So to the extent that President Mahama can leverage bilaterally with Burkina Faso, he can do that. But how does it align itself with the expansive region in terms of the political choices to fight the threat collectively? And that is where the questions loom in my mind.
Professor Cohesion, do you think this is an opportune time for leaders on the regional bloc to try and step in to diplomatically speak to these military leaders to see if anything else, anything positive can come out of this, if there can be a resolution once and for all for peace to reign?
No, there's not going to be any peace to reign or any resolution. And what is the basis for other governments talking to the three heads of state? I mean, if there's an accident and 20 people die in Ghana, of which 5 of them are from some country, is that a basis for other governments to come here and tell us how to build roads? No. Let's not be driven by emotions in looking at the problems that Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and all other countries have. What has happened is just that these traders have become collateral damage in a violent conflict in another country. They went there as mature people voluntarily to trade, and I heard my dear name, Dr. Bombande, saying that they need to do some assessment of the risk involved. Look, we ought to have asked ourselves that as the Association of Tomato Growers or Purchasers, Onion Purchasers, or traders who go to Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, what guidance can we give our members when they trade in a war zone? Okay? So those who have dropped the ball, it's not the Burkinabe government.
Right.
It is those of us who didn't provide guidance to our citizens who necessarily have to ply their livelihood business the danger zone. And I'm sure, have you spoken to the associations of which battle sellers are members? Ask them if they have guidance and the Ministry of Trade, whether there are guidance for Ghanaians going to these zones, as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So for you to insinuate that other heads of state can talk to these three countries and their leaders to bring some closure, it will not happen.
Right. Professor Need,
yeah.
And do you think there's a role Ghana's envoy to the Alliance of Sahel States, Bevlo Latte, can play under this current circumstance?
I mean, Lieutenant Colonel Bevlo Latte's role is trust building. Okay, let's not forget that those who perpetrated this atrocity are not government troops.
Right.
Okay? Even if they had been caught in a crossfire between government troops and terrorists, it would have been an unfortunate case. So, Mr. Bebolate's role is saying, look, my brothers, can we, through our Pan-Africanist lens, our shared values and dreams, find a way of sharing intelligence so that if we hear something on the Ghana side, we see something, we can share it with you for proactive response. Let's not forget that Mr. Latte's job was made extremely difficult for him because we as a nation sought to sell Burkina Faso to the Americans. Okay, so for the Burkinabes, anything that we do as the Republic of Ghana, they will say, but we trusted one of your leaders some time back. And that man, if not because of modern technology, privately sought with his advisors to sell us.
Right.
Okay, so Mr. Latte's role is to say, look, there's a new kid on the block. This is our new approach to doing things. We are transparent. We say what we need to say in front of you. You can rebut it. We can discuss. But let's build trust. So if you remember, and I think Dr. Bombande might be better at speaking to this, about 2 weeks or so ago, there was a very important meeting in Accra, seeking to say, look, what new structure can we design to build more trust, to speed up the sharing of intelligence and information, and to ensure that we can be a couple of steps ahead of these guys. Okay, so Mr. Bebolate's office is doing, but the nature of intelligence work, as Dr. Bombande will also accept, is that it's not everything that can be said and shared within the public space.
Right.
It's always after the fact. So yes, the office can do something. They have been doing something, and they are still doing something.
Right. Professor Kwesieni, thank you very much. He's a security consultant, and earlier we heard from Emmanuel Bombande, who is a conflict resolution consultant as well. Let's talk politics this afternoon because NPP flag bearer Mahmoud Bawumia is urging party members to forgive and unite after a tough flag bearer contest, warning that internal divisions could hurt their chances in the 2028 general elections. He emphasized the need for healing and reconciliation, says what is left of the healing and uniting is acknowledging where each went too far, telling themselves the truth and still choosing to work together. I have the rest of the story in this report.
Speaking at the party's national Thanksgiving service held in his honor, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia said while efforts at reconciliation have begun, the process of healing must continue deliberately if the party is to present a united front to the Ghanaian electorate in 2028.
This day, as we celebrate and give thanks together, I want to ask all of us from the bottom of my heart to forgive each other for some of the unpalatable things we may have said against one another during this election cycle. I have been encouraged by the efforts I have seen many of you make to reach out to your brothers and sisters after the election. And though I know the exercise of healing isn't completed yet, I believe we have started well.
The former vice president also called for a return to the core values that shaped the party's identity and stressed that restoring internal cohesion and recommitting to these principles would be critical to rebuilding public trust and strengthening the party's prospects going forward.
I have been encouraged by the efforts I have seen many of you make to reach out to your brothers and sisters after the election. And though I know the exercise of healing isn't completed yet, I believe we have started well, and I commend all patriots for the steps taken so far. I would like to, at this juncture, also thank all church leaders, including all charismatic church leaders, for their support.
Two of his competitors in the flag bearer race, Dr. Yawose Aduchum and Kwabene Agyapong, were in attendance and gave a scripture reading, while Brian Agyapong and Kennedy Agyapong were noticeably absent.
Well, meanwhile, the spokesperson for Kennedy Agyapong, Kwesi Kwarteng, has refuted claims that Kennedy Agyapong intends to break away from the NPP and file as an independent candidate in the 2028 presidential elections after losing the NPP flag bearer race. He spoke on Joy News Desk.
I'm here as a member of the New Patriotic Party, at the same time speaking for Honorable Kennedy Agyapong. At no reasonable basis should anybody expect that we are going to have an independent race or going to run an independent race. Right. I get it. You know, a friend of Ken, somebody, Abna just sent me the video. Abna Sasari just sent me the video. What is it? I just saw this. Our General Secretary could be proud to enter. He also just called me that he sees I'm independent and also wanted to inquire. And I'm sure it's because of publicly one of his friends who is publicly associated with him, who I've seen is championing a certain base agenda. But I want to state emphatically, categorically, without any word of equivocation, that Ken is not running for any independence. Right. You see, Ken is a friend to President Mahama. So if President Mahama today is championing the cause of NDC, will you then suggest that Ken is now NDC or now wants to run on the ticket of NDC? Ken is a friend to Mr. Alan Chamatin. Alan Chamatin is doing, initially was moving for change and subsequently became a political party, UP. I respect his decision. Right. I mean, he's an adult, he's entitled to make any decision. Right. But it will not be proper for anybody to construe that because Ken is a friend to Alan Chamatin, if Alan starts anything, it means it's being sponsored by Ken or other things. Recently, he did a video thanking the delegates and the good people of Ghana. I think that was on the 13th, if I recall. He had the NPP flag hoisted just right beside him. So I don't think any person who even will hoist the NPP flag will make a U-turn and say that I'm going for an independent, run an independent base. I feel that moments like this, even out of respect, we also have to give the man some time to also reflect. He's a human being. Right. I mean, no matter how hard he is, he's not a robot. He's not a machine. You cannot go through such a very tense election. I mean, not to mince words, you're accused that is your worst that caused the party's defeat. People that are very close to you, people that you probably have a very deep relationship. Sometimes you even build family who come out and say, oh, you insult two men, is your worst that caused party's defeat, or queer report, this. And this is a guy who all his life has devoted almost all his adult life to the service of the NPP. Moments like this, he's a human being. No matter how hard you are, when you get into your own closet, the temptation to break down will also be high. So I feel that these whole speculations, you want to go independent, he's not supporting the party, he did not come for this program, Thanksgiving, he did not come for this. Rebecca Kufuor was not there. So are you also suggesting that she's also going to start her own party? Father is not going to, vie for a position or become a flag bearer. What about Dr. Brian Agyapong? He too was out of town. So will you also say that Dr. Brian Agyapong also is also going to work against the NPP? I feel that even out of respect, moments like this, let's allow people to be and heal. I mean, I am speaking from the human perspective, the human point of view.
All right.
Ken, when he lost the election on Saturday, on Monday, he was at one of his factories, the steel factory. Wanted to make sure that he connects the power to Gridco and start production. Yes, that is at that individual and private level, but at the political level too, we also have to be a bit reasonable and considerate to him, that this is a human being, no matter how. It's just like boxers. Boxers, you may see boxers out there in the ring, very strong and kicking, but I'm not sure when they get to their homes, they beat their wives. No. They'll be calm, they'll reflect, and they also make
prepare for the next fight.
Exactly.
Right.
Kwesi Kwarteng is the spokesperson for Kennedy Agyapong. Let's get talking and bring in Henry Nana Boakye. He's the national organizer of the opposition NPP. I've also been joined on the telephone lines by Dr. Kwame Asasante, who's a political science lecturer. Gentlemen, grateful for your time this afternoon. I want to begin with you, Henry Nana Boakye. I saw you at the Thanksgiving service yesterday, and of course I was there because I was invited to cover the program as a journalist. But two people who were not at that program were Brian Agyapong and Kennedy Agyapong, and questions have started coming up whether they were invited at all. Were they?
Of course, certainly. I mean, they were there. In fact, even the original plan was that they were supposed to be part of the scripture readers. That is why you saw Honorable Yawaduchum being part of the readers, and also Engineer Kwabena Agyapong also part. The fact is that we invited them, but genuinely, they had scheduled itinerary outside the country, and they spoke to us and they pleaded that they will be part of all future events. Do not forget that one of the most important events we had at the party headquarters was the day the results were declared, and how all of them, 4 of them, mounted the stage, and they all pledged their support, unflinching support to the party and also to the presidential candidate. So I do not think that yesterday's absence would cause any problems. I mean, I don't think that this is even a matter. For me, I think that it's just people trying to twist and turn matters. But in fact, for His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, he already had an official trip outside, and he was going to be back this week. I mean, so it's all part of this event, and we wanted to have it done because we've had the election 31st January, and then it was important that we organize this thank you service so that we put the party together. And for me, so far, so good. All 4 aspirants, they've shown impeccable commitment. They've displayed their loyalty to the party, and I do not think that the absence from yesterday, especially when we had invited them and then they genuinely mentioned to us that they'll be outside the country. I do not think that this is even an issue for discussion at all.
Henry, we'll continue with the conversation about the Thanksgiving service, but I understand you just stepped out of a national executive meeting. What have you been discussing?
Oh, it's a national steering committee meeting. You know, we already have we've called for a national executive meeting tomorrow, and usually it is part of how we streamline our meetings. There should be, the national steering committee is responsible for day-to-day management of the party. So whatever we ought to discuss at the national executive committee and national council level, we should have, deliberated on all of these issues, discuss them, extensively consider all corners, and then we put it before the bigger bodies, and that is the National Executive Committee and then the National Council. Do not forget that after we've conducted a very successful, the most peaceful presidential primaries we've seen ever in this country, there's a need for us to start the reorganization and restructuring of the party. And that also calls for some discussion and some decisions to be made at the national level, so the National Executive and the National Council level. So those are matters that we'll be discussing. But we are happy that yesterday's event went very well. Let me commend the entire planning committee. Yes, I led the team, but it was a teamwork. They did so well. I mean, the commitment, the dedication that we put into this thank you service, and it went on without blemish.
And I can say that this is a huge milestone, especially after it was a major event after the presidential promise, and yesterday's event was quite phenomenal. So kudos to the entire planning committee. We worked as a team, we delivered.
Henry, earlier you mentioned that Dr. Brian Agyapong and Kennedy Agyapong were both outside Ghana, but when his spokesperson, Kwesi Kwarteng, spoke to us, Kennedy Agyapong's spokesperson, he said he was in Ghana, but he was really engaged. So I'm trying to understand whether there's some miscommunication as to his unavailability.
Oh, no, that is the communication we had from the committee had for Honorable Kennedy Agyapong's office. So I do not know about that. I've not spoken to my brother, Kwesi Kwarteng, but I can tell that is the information and the communication
right.
we had.
Henry, don't go yet. Let me bring in Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante in at this point. He's a political science lecturer. Dr. Asah-Asante, grateful for your time this afternoon. What signal does the absence of the two other leading contenders, apart from the eventual flag bearer, Kennedy Agyapong and Brian Agyapong, at the National Thanksgiving service, say about the party?
Oh, it doesn't mean anything. They give genuine reasons why they will not be there. So this thing can happen to anybody, that I may be billed for a program, but unfortunately due to one or two circumstances, I will not be able to show up. Doesn't mean that I am against the cause that we are pursuing. No. And I heard Mr. Kwarteng saying emphatically that, there was a reason why they could not. We take it like that and move on. But for me, there is nothing negative about it. Yes, and I've been seeing something flying in the social media and all that. I'm not a spokesman for Ken, but when I saw it, I realized that this is a cock and bull story, that Kennedy Agyapong going to form an independent, be an independent party member and all that. These are people who are true blue party people, and they will not go out. If there's something, they will voice their, people will hear their voices and all that. So for me, we can't make any fuss about this, and let's move on.
Why then do you think a lot of people are making a fuss about this if you say it doesn't mean anything?
Oh, it's simply because in politics, the way you can handle information, manipulate information, can, help you to achieve the purpose for which you threw that information out. And the people have lost, and they have lost gallantly as real Democrats and competitors. They will move on with their life, but quitting the party or because of that there is a program that the party is organizing, they say they won't attend. No, that will be too, they are above that, and they wouldn't do that. So let us not glorify that at all. It doesn't have any place in the conversation.
Right. And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia also admitted that there were utterances during the campaign season that didn't augur well with most of the candidates, and said that they should forgive one another. Clearly, he wants reconciliation if the party is to move forward. Good move at the right time?
Good move. He has no choice than to speak the way he did. Because, you see, I have a disappointment. My disappointment was that ethics committee that was formed. It became a white elephant. They should have, whipped the people into line so that they will be measured and tempered with their language. We didn't get that. So you saw at a point in time, the campaign became acrimonious, toxic, and, character assassination, characterize it, and the rest of them. But all have been said. Yes, the leader won reconciliation, that people should forgive. Yeah, that's a way to go. But as to whether people can forget some of these things is a problem. More so when you are looking forward to competing with another dominant political party, the NDC. All right? Because some of the things they said against Dr. Bawumia obviously will become raw materials for campaign 2028. There's no doubt about that. But this is a time for them to be able to put their acts together and then look at all that have been said against Bawumia and see how they can marshal forces to provide answers when the time comes. But the move, a good move, But what has been said has been said. You can't take those words back.
Right. I'll bring you back in, Dr. Asah-Asante, but let me go to Henry Nana-Boakye. Henry, the ethics committee that was set up by your party to look at utterances that are bad during the campaign season. I remember speaking to the chairman of your National Election Committee, the former deputy minister, the former deputy speaker of parliament, Joe Wise. He said that no reports had been brought to them. That was some months back. So did that committee exist without receiving a single report of insinuations and insults? Unfortunately, we've lost Henry Nana-Boakye there. And as I mentioned to you earlier, he excused himself from an executive meeting at the party's national headquarters here in Accra. I still have Dr. Asah-Asante there. Dr. Asah-Asante, going forward, how does the party reconcile? Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, like I mentioned earlier, preached about unity for about 8 minutes. He talked about unity, unity, unity. Going forward, how does he try or lead the reconciliation process, especially looking at the backbiting, the bickering that went on during this primaries?
Gun is the right thing to do, but he has to do more and demonstrating to the people that it's just not mere talk, but that they are prepared to come together and then put in a machinery. They have the ADR mechanism in the system. You should trigger that process and make sure that the leaders can sit on the table, talk about some of these things, and that they themselves will also talk to their supporters and realize that, and then know that they are working within one family. It is the elephant family, and that what has gone wrong has gone wrong. But they don't need to repeat that and move on. More so, it is important for him to do that and then make sure that people are not, they don't call people names and attack people and all that. That is very, very important, because then you'll be adding salt to injury, and that will not augur well for the party. And the party machinery must, begin to act positively, making sure that everybody is brought on board and that they forge together and then get themselves battle ready for 2028.
Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, thank you very much. He's a political science lecturer. And earlier we also had Henry Nana-Boakye, who's the national organizer of the opposition NPP. You're still watching the polls on Joy News. When we return from the break, we have more stories for you. Don't go anywhere. Hello again. A group of 250 teachers in the northern region, part of a nationwide total of 400, are calling for urgent help from the authorities over allegations of professional and financial injustice. In a petition to the regional minister, the 2023 cohort of teachers expressed outrage over claims by the Regional Education Directorate that the appointments are fake and rejected the claims. Speaking after presenting the petition to the regional minister, the president of the group, Muftau Malik, said they followed due protocols in securing the appointments and have worked continuously for over 2 years without being told to stop work officially.
The group of unpaid teachers in the northern region have taken their fight to the Regional Coordinating Council, petitioning the regional minister over allegations of professional and financial injustice. This is the second protest action by the group in 2 weeks following a similar protest at the regional offices of the Regional Education, where they presented a petition. The teachers, who claim they have worked for over 25 months without pay, are demanding the immediate generation of staff ID and payment of their outstanding arrears. Presenting the petition, President of the group, Muftau Malik Adeyemi, argued that the appointments made in 2023 are legitimate and should not be affected by a mass revocation of appointments made after the December 2024 elections.
Over 25 months, we have not been paid. Even those we assumed duty before, that is the College of Education Teachers who was absorbed in September 2025. And after 7 December recruits whose appointments were revoked and reinstated have all been sorted. And why not sort hours? Because we assume duty before them. Even the regional education director, we assume duty before he assumed duty as the regional education director. He's receiving his salary. He has been given a car. He has his office well air conditioned, and he can't fight for the people under his jurisdiction. Why? Why is he occupying that office? To enjoy the luxury or to look for or to search for the welfare of the teachers under him? We were issued due offer letters, and we were given regional posting letters by the same seat or the region he occupies, and we were actually sent to various schools to teach while we were issued assumption of duty letters as well. So we have been teaching far long, even more than a year before he even assumed office as the regional education director. GES communicates through letters. And why, as a person of high authority as the regional education director, tell us by word of mouth that our appointments are fake, and he told us to stop work? How can you not issue a letter which is being referenced to a letter from the headquarters to our head teachers to tell us to stop work?
Some of the protesters said they have borrowed and are tired of borrowing.
Most of us are mothers. We prepare our kids for school and also go to school. And at the end of the month, we receive nothing. We are suffering, especially we the mothers. We are suffering, so we are pleading with him.
I have been borrowing since day one because I have to transport myself to school. When I get to school, I will have to drink water. I have to eat. I also have kids who are dependent on me. I pay school fees. I prepare them for school. I need to get food for them to eat and eat well. So I've been suffering. My debtors are following me.
The regional coordinating director, Sumaila Ewuntoma, who represented the minister, said he will present the petition to the appropriate quarters.
Who is currently engaged in an equally important assignment. So when he comes, I'll hand over the petition to him, and then I want to say that, I assure you that we will forward the petition to the appropriate authorities to deal with the issues we have raised in the petition.
In other stories this afternoon, some residents of Ntoaso along the Kumasi-Accra Highway have blamed what they describe as a delayed response by the National Fire Service and the police for the explosion that killed 4 persons and left several others injured. According to them, a fuel tanker overturned around 4 a.m., prompting some individuals to rush to siphon the fuel. They claim attempts to get security and emergency personnel to secure the scene were unsuccessful. The tanker reportedly exploded around 5 a.m. following a trigger, leading to the fatalities and injuries. Some residents have been speaking to Joy News. Take a listen.
Police Ansana, and I didn't know just a pick up and what they know do tank no ne to leda e wo ho. Nti ono de do one man na just lucky. But and your car this radial but driver no de onya kwan dwane ye, munya dwane ye. And ma mienu no moti small car na what pick up no ho no no. Ono de omo kemu wa ha, omo de omo sedwure be.
One plant mostly because mostly never for police. If police come says I didn't see you once we tank around we sure say for police. Say by police amantem police bantama and kind of say tank away na tough mo anu say and say we risky everybody within be 12 o'clock to any day town be shit because I didn't explosive akape boom Ghana ben for police phone fire service so we dey ya dey say na esrem say bibi tu ya amunka ke frem amunka kraman wana muna o man penyin se mbo en ho ban bibi na muna be frem ntim ko fro bia
And the government is moving to rename the Kotoka International Airport as part of a broader plan to revamp Ghana's aviation sector and reintroduce a national carrier. Speaking at the launch of the 40th anniversary celebration of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Transport Minister Joseph Bukari Nikpe announced that government is working toward renaming the Kotoka International Airport to Accra International Airport. He explained that the move forms part of efforts to align Ghana's aviation industry with international standards.
Ghana's Civil Aviation Authority will continue to play a critical role in ensuring that all other aviation development meet higher international standards of safety, security, and regulatory compliance. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, hard-working members of this authority, on behalf of the government of Ghana, I commend the board, management, and both past and present staff of Ghana Civil Aviation Authority for your unwavering dedication and commitment to service. It is my hope that this commitment will continue and we will always be seen as the best among equals. I would want to say that at all gatherings, anytime I'm around with you, I am proud, and that is an extension of government's pride in you. We wish that we will continue to have that kind of leading role and support from you to the management and all who matter in running the affairs of this authority, and that will continue to keep the skies safe. To this, I say, Aiko, and in my own language, may the good Lord be with you. It is therefore my pleasure to officially launch the 40th anniversary celebration of Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, and congratulations in advance to GCAA, and may the months ahead remind us of how far we have come and how much far we want to go. It's our prayer that the good Lord will see this celebration a reflection of the Ghanaian people in you, and also for you to take the opportunity to let the Ghanaian people understand clearly what you do and what your work needs. We know that the skies will always be safe when you are trained. We know that the skies will be safe when your professionalism is on display. I want to thank you, and may the good Lord continue to bless you and bless our homeland, Ghana. I thank you.
That's the Transport Minister Joseph Bukari Nikpe there. In other stories, the Black Volta River, influenced by climatic conditions, has displaced 6,170 residents, including women and children, in 2023. Additionally, several thousand farms, properties, and livestock were also hit hard, with some 962,000 households not spared, forcing the inhabitants to seek refuge in temporary shelters. In today's Climate Evidence, we'll tell you how flood victims endorse intervention for relocation.
But to help safeguard life and the livelihoods of its subjects, the chief of the Buipe traditional area, Buipera Abdullahi Janapot I, did make a promise during the disaster to allocate land for the resettlement of the people of the Buipe community.
The most important is that you say Buipera, you give them a place. Have you given them a place? The answer is yes. And the answer yes is not just giving them a place alone or appointing a figure they know. I brought caterpillars, they removed the whole place. The whole place is nearby the road. The whole place is even nearer to their own settlements. The whole place is demarcated and planned. I can just sit down here as I told you. And where you need plot, yes. Okay, go and take plot number 2.
Mr. Fusaini Al-Hassan is a fisherfolk, and for him, the intervention by the chief is good news at last, worth welcoming. However, Not everyone is ready to migrate. A 75-year-old landlord, James Tete, said he prefers to stay and protect his ancestral home.
Getting to the other side will be difficult because we are here for a long time, and the way the water disturbs, it comes from, especially the last water that took this is 2023. No, it's not from here. It's from Akusumu. The Akusumu, where they keep the water in the dam for so many months. Come and affected the residents. It came to about 5 years back. All the water go down. But I come before they are establishing buoy. So even if the buoy comes and they open buoy and it go to Akusumu, Akusumu will also spill and it will go.
At the Chief's Palace, I was shown a site plan of demarcated 200 plots of land. And when I later visited the much-awaited site allocated for the Great Migration, there were confirmation of deposits of sea sand and uncompleted structures owned by those eager to migrate. From these perspectives, residents and religious bodies, some of whom have already migrated beyond Buipe, are clear signs of a new dawn in the enclave. On this, the lead of Strategic Initiatives for Africa Governance, Dr. Shelter Gassi, noted that this move shows that planned migration is a powerful path to safety and resilience. The migration effort is a testament to the power of community and stakeholder support in the face of climate-related disasters. Isaac Nonye's report for Joy News. This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDKN Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from Claire R41 Opportunities Fund. This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDKN Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from Claire R4I Opportunities Fund.
And Programs Manager at the European Union delegation in Accra, Clemens Beckes, says a new EU-supported forestry project is designed to strengthen participatory forestry governance in Ghana. He explained that the initiative focuses on improving monitoring, accountability, and inclusion across the timber value chain. According to him, the project builds on Ghana's fledged licensing system by supporting verification processes that ensure timber exported to Europe is legal and sustainably produced.
FLEGT licensing ensures that the timber that goes to Europe is legal and sustainable. And this project will ensure that there is participation from civil society, from private sector, with the government of Ghana to ensure this, to verify the legality and sustainability. So this is how it works. The project does not link to illegal mining, but it also supports government's efforts to address tree loss. I mean, illegal mining leads to loss of trees. What we do here is to support sustainable forest management and to make sure that forests really serve the benefit of the Ghanaian people.
Is there anything you want to add? Is there anything you want to add to the media that we don't know?
I'm really excited about this project to start, to make sure that there's the voice of the communities and of the people, to make sure the use of timber benefits the communities, benefits the people. So this is important for the EU to make this sure. We want to have a timber trade that is beneficial to Ghanaians, not only to a few companies. Thank you.
Meanwhile, Technical Director in charge of Forestry at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Joseph Osiakwan, added Ghana has entered a decisive implementation phase in its forest governance reforms following the launch of a new European Forest Support Project. The initiative is expected to strengthen the execution of the forest law enforcement, governance and trade framework, which underpins Ghana's sustainable forest agenda.
Tell you with authority that after the issuance of the FLEC license in August, the Forestry Commission has issued over 400 licenses under the FLEC, which means some serious work has begun. Equally important, ladies and gentlemen, today is the tree tenure reforms, which has been on the platform for a long time, and we know the challenges. Clement enumerated the challenges with tree tenure, the insecurity of farmers who nurture trees on their farms, but unfortunately cannot have access to these trees. The challenge has been long overdue. The ministry has tried in the past to bring reforms that will motivate farmers to keep trees on their farms. And I know a lot of you have been part of the various workshops and platforms that were created. A lot of DPs have funded workshops that we did, part in Accra, some outside Accra. NGOs have funded a number of them. And through that investment, including a project that was sponsored by the World Bank, the Forest Investment Program, we were able to develop some framework that will guide tree tenure arrangements in Ghana. We had this framework that came up with a timber tending fee for people who nurture trees naturally on their farms to benefit from their investments.
And this evening, President John Mahama is expected to present a landmark resolution before the United Nations General Assembly in March, seeking global recognition of the transatlantic slave trade as the gravest crime against humanity. He disclosed this whilst presenting his report to the 39th Assembly of Heads of State and Government in his role as the African Union champion for advancing the cause of justice and the payment of reparations under the African Union. His draft resolution has since been formally adopted by the Assembly, clearing the way for a united African drive for historical accountability and reparative justice on the international stage.
The initiative is not directed at any nation. It is directed towards truth, recognition, and reconciliation. On 24th March, Ghana will host a high-level side event at the United Nations, followed by a wreath-laying ceremony at the African Burial Ground National Museum in New York. And on 25th March 2026, the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade, Ghana, together with co-sponsors and with the endorsement of the African Union, will formally table the resolution before the General Assembly. Let me emphasize the General Assembly. The date is intentional because it connects memory with action. We call upon all member states to support and co-sponsor this resolution. The adoption of this resolution will not erase history, but it will acknowledge it. The trafficking in enslaved Africans and racialized chattel enslavement were foundational crimes that have shaped the modern world, and their consequences continue to manifest in structural inequality, racial discrimination, and economic disparity. Recognition is not about division, it is about moral courage. Adoption of the resolution will not be the end. Following the adoption, Ghana will continue engagement with the United Nations Secretary General, the African Union Commission, relevant UN bodies, and interested member states. This is about a sustained dialogue on reparatory justice and healing. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this initiative presents us a historic opportunity, an opportunity to affirm the truth of our history, an opportunity to recognize the gravest injustice in human history, an opportunity to lay a stronger foundation for genuine reconciliation and equality. While the past cannot be undone, it can be acknowledged, and acknowledgement is the first step towards justice.
President Mahama has been providing further details.
The floor.
Thank you very much. The first step towards healing is truth. The truth about the story of the transatlantic slave trade must be told. And this resolution at the United Nations is the first step. And we expect that with the consultations we've done and the endorsement of the AU, that finally the truth about the transatlantic slave trade, being the gravest injustice and crime against humanity, would be acknowledged. After that step, other issues will follow. Indeed, the issue of reparations and restorative justice goes beyond, and that is in answer to the first question, just monetary compensation. It's about setting the historical record straight. It's about returning stolen artifacts from Africa. It's about the pillaging that took place in the period of the slave trade. Issues about quantum are still being researched, and I don't think that a lump sum of money is going to be taken and distributed to countries. We'll get to that point and we'll discuss that when the time comes. But for now, our aim is to put the resolution on the floor, let the world acknowledge that this happened and that there's been, in recent memory or in world history, no more grave injustice against humanity than the slave trade. 12 million people were transported, forcibly taken and transported across the Atlantic. The number of people who died in the mid-sea, the Middle Passage, is estimated at about 2 million people, either people who jumped off ships, they prefer to die than to go and live in slavery, or people who were too ill or were sick and were tossed overboard to be eaten by sharks and all that. And so that historical record must be set straight. And like I said, it's a whole movement, it's a whole story. And once we table this, we will move to the next stage of it. And so it's not about quantum for now, but there are people who have done research on what's the value of the human displacement was. There are people who have done that research, but our resolution has nothing to do with quantum for now. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Deputy Finance Minister and Member of Parliament for Eswejaman Thomas Ampem Nyako has declared a firm commitment to complete all stalled projects in his constituency and roll out new ones where necessary to drive development. He says the days of abandoning projects for political advantage are over, insisting that scoring political points must never take precedence over delivering critical infrastructure for citizens. The MP made the pledge on his birthday after commissioning 4 projects for residents at Akrade, Mangwasi and other areas, and cutting sword for a new road project to boost local development. Carlos Coloni has more.
We commission this place in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Excitement swept through Jijokope, Mangwasi and Akrade as a resident gathered to receive what many described as their biggest Valentine's Day gift from their Member of Parliament, Thomas Ampem Nyako, who also marked his birthday on Val's Day. At Jijokope, the MP inaugurated a 3-room CHIPS compound, giving residents access to healthcare services in their own community for the very first time. At Senchi South, he handed over the 2,000 capacity community center. In Mangwasi, he also completed and commissioned a community center started by his predecessor. Speaking to journalists, Deputy Finance Minister Thomas Ampem Nyako outlined the key objectives behind the project.
All these projects were started by the previous administration, and they were at different levels of completion. But I took a decision to commit some of my funds to complete these projects so they will be functional and the people of these communities can use them. And I am doing this purposely to send a signal that governance is a continuum. So if you inherit any projects that are uncompleted, it is your responsibility to ensure that they are completed. I have decided that I'll commit half of my common fund to continue these legacy projects, and will allow the communities to also let us know what their new priorities are. Because if we don't do that, these projects will rot. And it is also informed by the decision by President Mahama that every district assembly also uses a percentage of their common fund to continue some of these legacy projects. It is the way to go. And so we believe that we must do this so that all these projects that we use public funds to start will be beneficial to our people. There is a fourth project that I commissioned today. That is a health post that I personally initiated and have completed and have commissioned it for the good people of Agyapong.
The Esujaman District Director of Health Services, Rebecca Bante, and the Assembly Member for the Manguase electoral area, Simon Agbetaokpo, say the new facilities will help improve living conditions of residents in beneficiary communities.
It happens to be just a one-unit facility, a one-room facility that was taking care of only mothers and children, or children under 5. But looking at the environment, most often than not, when they are in labor, they have to travel all the way to Atimpuku or even to South Senti or Senti Ferry before they go and deliver. So Community Health Committee thought it wise to fall on MP or to call on him to help expand the facility. And as we can see, now there had been an expansion of which a midwife had been posted to the facility. And this is going to, improve access to quality healthcare for the people of Agyapong, not only Agyapong, but Agyapong and its environs.
There was a challenge because we don't have a place to have a funeral. When in terms of a funeral or any program, in fact, the challenge is bigger. So today, I can say, in fact, Manguase, we have sleepless tonight because, in fact, the joy is overwhelmed.
In South Senti Akradi, the MP also cut salt for the construction of inner roads to boost local economic activities.
I'm happy to say that under the second term of President Mahama's administration, Esujaman is blessed to have almost all our roads awarded on contract, and the contractors are busy on site working. And so a year from now, we are hoping to see many of these projects being completed. Apart from that, we have a lot of projects ongoing in all the 5 public senior high schools in Esujaman.
The MP also presented these sewing machines and accessories to the first cohort of beneficiaries under the National Apprenticeship Program. Carlos Kaloni, Joy News, Akosombo.
Member of Parliament for Tamale North, Al-Hassan Suhaini, has launched the One Heart Women Empowerment with a seed fund of 1 million Ghana cedis, dubbed the OWE Fund. The initiative will empower more than 5,000 women, particularly petty traders, with interest-free loans. Speaking at the launch in Tamale, Mr. Suhaini said the support will enable women contribute to their children's education and family development. Martina Bugri reports.
The fund is aimed at supporting petty traders like the wache seller, jollof seller, cocoa seller, among other small business owners. Speaking at the launch, the MP for Tamale North, Al-Hassan Suhaini, said 23 women's groups were carefully selected from existing functional groups which have been supporting themselves through regular contributions.
We are launching it with a seed capital of 1 million Ghana cedis and with the aim of empowering about 5,000 women-owned businesses. It is aimed at supporting the wache seller, the jollof seller, the cocoa seller, the kose seller. It is aimed at ensuring that people, especially women who have these small businesses, receive the necessary support that can either help them initiate such small businesses or expand the ones that they already have ongoing. It is the reason why we carefully selected the group of about 20 women who are going to receive the support today.
Mr. Suyini said these groups will serve as foundation blocks for the OWE fund for other agencies to support.
We have some of these groups formed in the various communities that meet regularly, especially on Saturdays and Sundays, just to contribute 50 pesos, 1 cedi in support of each other's businesses. And so we have carefully selected these groups to use as the foundation block for what we intend to do with the One Heart Foundation. So today you have MASLOC here, you have the Ghana Enterprise Agency here, and you have the National Apprenticeship Program here. We also have some non-governmental organizations here. And the aim is that this foundation that we are laying will become one that all these other agencies will build upon to support businesses in this constituency.
The Northern Regional Manager of MASLOC, Alimatu Abdul Nasser, said the groups are scrutinized before being offered loans, and the loans will be disbursed in the next 2 months.
We take 25 people in a group. Then we have the chairperson, we have the treasurer, and then we have the secretary. So they organize them in the various groups. So we meet them, we take their constitution, and then they have to have an account and everything. And we deal with the leaders. So we are here to disburse our funds. Yes, maybe the next 2 months we'll be disbursing our funds. So we'll meet the groups, then we'll now tell them what to do, how to apply, and then we take it off from that place.
Beneficiaries said they would expand their trade, support their household, and take care of their children's needs.
School fees is at the corner. We have to come to pay our school fees and also to help in bringing up our children, our household. A lot of things has to be done with the profit. I'm a designer, so with this help, I'll use it to buy a lot of things into my shop. So as I'm working, there will be profits, and I'll use the profit to support the household.
Well, the rainy season is no longer fast approaching. It is finally here. And that means the time is running out to fix that leaking roof, those persistent window drips, and the damp patches spreading across your walls. Many of you may have tried different products before. Paints that promised protection, but ended up peeling, cracking, or falling once the heavy rains set in. But what if this year could be different? Well, there's a new solution specially designed to seal out water, stop leakages, and provide long-lasting protection for your home or office. It's called Easy Paint's Waterproof Solutions, and it is transforming how Ghanaians protect their buildings from water damage. To explain how this innovative system works, I've been joined in the studio by Stephanie Zenobia Opoku Dakwa, who I have nicknamed Mama Easy. Mama Easy, welcome.
Thank you, Papa Easy, because we are sharing the platform. So
Yeah, we are. Over the weekend, it rained non-stop as well. I want to believe that people who used Easy Paint products had nothing to worry about, right? So if I wasn't using Easy Paint product, I'm saying me for the general public, wasn't using the Easy Paint products, and my roof started leaking the moment it started raining, what should I do?
Okay, so thank you, and then good afternoon to your cherished viewers. So I'm going to do a little demonstration for those who used the Easy Waterproof Paint. So if you didn't use it, then just watch this magic here. I love Kenneth to be doing the demonstrations, because when I do it, they ask me, oh, there's something in it, you have a magical hand. So these are my normal created hands.
Yeah.
Kenneth is going to use his to do it for us. And this is just water. We just got it here.
Right. So this is the water.
So this is the water, and it's going into the basket.
And the basket.
So mind you, viewers at home, the basket has been painted with Easy Waterproof Paint.
Yeah.
And then we have the acrylic as the finish, and that is the blue, nicer one that you're seeing. The white one you're seeing is the Easy Waterproof Paint. So these are for, no, Ken, that is a little water.
Okay, so I should add the second one.
Yes, add that one so that they would see the essence of it. You know, they said the basket doesn't hold water, So we are trying to fill it with as much water as we can. And then, so this is it.
If viewers can see, this is
it.
This is the water.
Exactly.
You can see that I'm pouring the water inside of it. Yeah.
Yes.
That's 2 bottles of a medium bottled water, right?
So this is, let's take the basket as a home that has been painted with the easy waterproof paint.
Right.
Now, the water is in.
Yeah.
So this is the rain.
Let me cross-check if anywhere is leaking.
It's leaking. That's right.
It's not.
Good.
You can go ahead.
Good. So this is how it works on your buildings.
Right.
So let's say for those who are building at waterlogged areas and by the seasides and things, we ask that you use it on your foundations. Because, you know, once you start digging, the water from down there just starts getting in there.
Right.
To stop it before it even gets into your walls, you use the waterproof. That stage, you don't mix. But once you're using it for your roofs, as you're seeing, because usually we get to see the problems of the rooms from the roof. Now, especially the roofs that have the floor, the cemented ones, once we do that one, we leave them unattended to. So anything that happens up there, we don't see. But we forget that because it's cemented, it starts getting cracked. And these cracks, when they are not attended to, or you haven't applied easy waterproof paint on, that is what makes the leakage in the rooms come up this way.
Yeah.
So all the water seeps in gradually, and then they soak in there. And before you even realize what is happening, you have a very nice fountain flowing in your room that you didn't create. Then we have the roofing sheets and things that are not laid well.
Yeah.
That forms this type of, you know, things in your ceilings, in your roofs. They're like puffed up in there.
Yeah.
Yes. So these are also water from in there. It starts giving you signs and marks there, and you just ignore most of it. Oh, what is this? Okay, let me just get some paint and paint on top of. But you forget that is a very big problem that is going to cause huge damage to your roofs. These are caused from the roof. Because when they do the roofings, we have spaces in between them. There are some of the places on the roofings that have nails and things there. All these spaces get to open as time goes on. So when it starts opening up, the little water that trickles in starts getting into the buildings, and that it starts weakening it. So that's why we're saying that once you use your roofing, either it's a new roof, either it's an old roof, you need easy waterproof paint. For this new roof, as you're seeing on your screen, this is a new roof that he doesn't want to have any problem with the house. So he's painting straight ahead just after it's been done on this new house. But if your roof is the very old ones, like the ones you were seeing that was raining, the very old ones, the slates, the aluminiums, and which other ones, if they are old, you need to help us do a cleaning. First, before you apply, you need to do a cleaning for us. After you do the cleaning, you leave it to dry. Then the easy waterproof paint is applied on it. Now, if your walls also have, always you see water in your walls, as if you just, you know, use the water hose to just spray it. But it's not like that. It's just water that is from the ground that has stayed in the walls and is plastered. It hasn't been painted perfect. All you need is letting it dry. Let the water in there dry. Or if it's not drying up, just take a little whole space around it, fill it with the waterproof paint, use some extra waterproof paint to paint the walls entirely itself. Then it will absorb all the water like the water in the basket is being absorbed because of the paint in it. That is how the easy waterproof paint works. Yes.
There are some stubborn people who would want to build in waterlogged areas, no matter what you do. No matter the advice you give them, they will still go ahead and build in waterlogged areas. Can easy paint save them?
It can.
How?
You remember I was saying when I started the interview that those who love to build around these areas, before you even bring up the entire building. Once you start with your foundation, the easy waterproof goes in undiluted. It goes in its raw state, just like that. Then it stops everything, the saltiness, the water and everything from the ground. It seals it before it even gets into your building. Once you do that the correct way, you can happily build by the seaside and enjoy your home.
Let's talk about windows. We usually see some windows where water leaks through anytime it rains or drizzles. What's the solution for that?
Okay, so some of the windows, when you at the back or you get closer to the building, you get to see that there are spaces around them.
Yeah.
It's either those who did the measuring didn't do it well, or something might have, scraped that side of the building. So we just do a neat sandpapering at the side, make sure that we have a very leveled place and neat that we can apply the waterproof to seal that opening in there. And then it's good to go.
When you have your building, you have your wall, and you start seeing that water is perforating through it, what do? Do you start peeling them off before you paint? You apply the paint? Or what do you do?
You peel it off. The reason why you need to peel it off is the ones that you're seeing with the water in there has the problem. So we're trying to solve the problem. So get everything that is blocking it off that way. So that we can have a clear passage and then use the waterproof in there to stop the water from coming up. You know these big, how do you call them? Warehouses?
Yeah.
They have those problems. Some of the places you go and then virtually get to see oils and water dripping in from the cemented places.
That's true.
And you wonder where it's coming from. It's coming from the ground. So that one that has been already done, what you need to do is just dig the entire place all around it, then put the waterproof in there in the undiluted state, because if you mix it before you put it there, you still have that problem. So in that thickened state that it comes in, just put it down all round, let it dry. That will absorb all the oil and all the water, just as the basket is doing.
If I start building and then I'm done building and I realize that not enough building materials went into the building, so it doesn't look strong, can it be saved by Easy Paint Waterproof?
Yes, it will.
How?
Because once you're done with the building, the next thing after your plastering is getting a primer.
Yeah.
So usually we get ordinary primers in the market in the name of priming a wall to save your building, but you end up having to face the problems. I remember we went to a house and then I was asking them, did you blow air into the walls before you painted? No. These are the problems that come with it. But if you use Easy Waterproof paint, I want you to try to break any part of the basket and see. So the way it is very hard, that is how it gets on the wall.
I've tried it before.
Yes. So once this is the primer, just imagine this as a primer on your wall.
It's impenetrable.
Exactly. So that is how it solves all the problems on the wall. So even if they didn't finish the wall very well, once you have Easy Waterproof paint as your primer, you're good to go. And then your top-up coat comes in nicely, like I've used my semi-gloss, the basket to make it nice.
Let's talk about roofing. Although you showed us an example of a roofing which is being supported by Easy Paint Waterproofing. But let's assume that I've already roofed my building, but I'm experiencing leakages, and I found out that the leakages are coming as a result of my bad roofing. What do I do?
So all you need to do, just like this very old 1642 roof that you're watching on your screen.
1642 indeed.
1642, I know, right? So all you have to do is first, just as it's raining now, get some young people in your neighborhood, or even if you have people in the house, even get on top of the house with some brushes and soapy water. Get it clean for us. When the rains are done, it is neat. Then the waterproof paint is applied on it. Then it stops all the problems. Once we tackle on top, we don't leave it because it's an old building. So then, as we tackle the roof itself, we go also into the building and then we tackle, the ceilings also. Then you're good to go.
We have a very harsh climatic condition here in Ghana. So if I use waterproof from Easy Paint, how long is it going to last for me?
Okay. So in the office, we give a guarantee of 5 years.
Right.
But we have homes that we've worked with, and it's more than 15 years. We haven't gotten any problems.
Wow. Yes. What about if I use it on my roofing?
The same. So we give you 5 years guarantee. That's why I tell people that once you want to apply the Easy Waterproof Paint, kindly bring us. If you want our people to do it for you, we can. But if you have your own trusted painters, kindly bring them along. We'll teach them the correct way to do the preparation, the application, the drying, and everything for you, so that it works on your building.
I must say 5 years is a huge number of years considering paint, because I know some people who paint their houses every year. So tell us, where can we get some to buy if we want to?
Okay, so our main office is at Abeka Junction. We're just opposite the Ship House,
right, or
closer to the Shell filling station, or adjacent to the Allied filling station on the La Paz Road. You can give us a call at the office on 0243 707696. Aside our office in Abeka, you can also get another wholesale shop at Tudu, opposite to the Lebanon House. At Kumasi, you can get it at Edum, just beside the Melcom, Obros. In Cape Coast, you can get it from King of the Universe or Eminent Enterprise, all in Cape Coast. Aside that, wherever they sell hardware or anywhere that you see a shop that has building materials, just ask them you want Easy Waterproof Paint. And they don't have, give us a call on 0243 707696. And then we'll supply to wherever you are.
Stephanie, thank you very much, a.k.a. Madam Easy. Thank you for always passing by to give us education on how to paint our homes. And that's it for the polls this evening. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. The news team returns at 7 p.m. with News Prime. My name is Kenneth Jesse. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good evening.